This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. Today's discussion is the markets are mixed. The markets are trying to right now read through the inflation data and figure out what that means for the Fed. Is the consumer price index a little bit up in July, but still relatively rational? The producer price index also a little bit higher than expected, but relatively rational, so much better than the last couple of years. At the same time, the markets are concerned that the Fed is going to take license to keep on raising rates some. One of the Fed governors, Mary Daly from California, essentially said the other day that our work is not done fighting inflation. Another Fed governor said we should hold off on raising rates more. And one of the problems you have is each Fed governor feels empowered to speak their own mind. And every time each one of them speaks their own mind, they're not necessarily speaking for the entire Fed, but this drives the markets because the markets can't figure out whether they're talking for Chairman Powell, whether they're talking for the Fed, or talking for themselves. And you get these very mixed signals as the market tries to interpret what the inflation data means and what that means for the Fed. The Fed meets again in September. I fully expect you'll see another quarter-point raise, but that might be it this year. But it's very tough to tell. But again, you get tremendously mixed signals from the Fed, mixed signals from inflation, and that seems to be the story of the year. As we seem to get closer and closer to peak Fed funds rate, we're not quite there, and quite frankly, the market's really ready for that. Mortgage rates are at 7+%. This is having a real negative impact on the home selling business for a bunch of different reasons and so forth. I think people are sort of ready for the Fed to take a pause, but we'll see how it goes. But we're getting real mixed signals from inflation and real mixed signals from the very different Fed governors, which is sort of, to me, it's somewhat perplexing. Yes, I believe in freedom of speech, but as we're all trying to interpret what the Fed is saying, we seem to be far better off when Chairman Powell is very direct about it. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast.